Welcome to the Underreported Stories podcast. I'm Christy Clark, and these are the 5 underreported stories that you need to know.
Hey, Debra. Oh my gosh, we got a girly swirly on the podcast today. Y'all, this is Debra Lee. She's a conservative internet personality. She's conservative commentary. You can find her at Fox News, Newsmax, all the good places. But today, you get to hear her on the Underreported Stories podcast. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that we finally get to do this. We love conservative women putting their brains together and speaking the truth to the masses.
Right. We were talking offline for the audience, just so you guys know. We have never met, but we consider each other really good friends. It is crazy how the internet works.
I would buy a friendship bracelet with you and mail it to you, honestly. At this point,
Are you a Swiftie? Are you like one of those girls that has the friendship bracelets? Are you into that?
So I am a Swiftie, but I don't have the bracelets because I was not about to pay a rack for a nosebleed seat to her concerts. But I would have paid for a better seat.
Interesting. Crazy story. My friends in Detroit, I don't want to out them with their names, but they wanted to go see Taylor Swift. One of them was begrudgingly getting dragged there. And they were like, we're just going to scalp tickets. They were kind of standing outside. And basically one of my friends, I guess, was flirting with one of the female guards, ironically. And they let them in for free. Like, they got to see a whole Eras concert for free in Detroit. I'm like,
for them, honestly.
Right? And they reacted normally. They weren't crying on the sidewalk. Did you see that one girl in Australia, I think?
Did she get in for free and start crying?
No, Taylor Swift sang a song and she started crying.
I love.
Yeah, that's a little too far.
Been floating around at those concerts for sure on the male and female side of the attendance. But I don't identify with the Swiftie crowd. I definitely love Taylor Swift as an artist and was raised on her music.
Right. I mean, mad respect for her. How old are you? You're 24? 23? Oh my gosh, you're such a babe. I'm turning 27 at the end of the month. So I feel this, once you turn like 22, you can't tell the difference between people until they're 32. I'll die on that hill. Unless they get really bad like Botox or filler or something like that.
Unfortunately, too many people do. None of the eyebrows, both got movable eyebrows out here.
I know. At least you do. Anyway, I just would love for you to give us some background on just how you got into conservative media. What was like, oh my gosh, this is the moment I know that I want to do this. Because we kind of do very similar things, and I'm just interested to hear your trajectory here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to give the schmedium story, which is my favorite way, in short and medium. I was always like more politically inclined. I wouldn't call it politics, but leadership when I was younger. I was always class president, gave my graduation speeches in middle school, high school. I was just one of those mock trial, model Congress, always involved. Yeah, co-captains of the soccer team. I just love being in a leadership position. I think it's suiting to me. And when after I graduated high school, I went to college in Tel Aviv at Bar Ilan. And we had 2 direct rocket hits on my campus, and we were in the bomb shelter.
Wow.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just like, I went to Israel after October 7th. Nothing can faze me. But up until then, that was the scariest moment I had ever been in. And I just knew that, like, that is not normal. And although it may seem normal for Israelis, it is not normal and very different. I just spoke about this in a speech at the University of Iowa. It's very different to, like, even the war with Ukraine and Russia right now. Like, this has never been a territory war for the people living in Israel. It's a war of existence. When the terror rockets, they don't know if it's falling on an Arab family or a Jewish family. They just want to kill people. And I knew that I had the skills and the ability to make the world a slightly better place and get my hand in geopolitics. So came back to America, went to University of Maryland right near DC, started in online. And then some people came along and were like, I like the way you yap. And long story short, news hit here, great opportunities representing organizations at Freedom Dinners, and somehow ended up on your podcast, which is a great...
I love it. My story is very similar with the whole, everything just starts falling into your lap and people are like, I just like listening to you talk. I'm like, I don't know how, but I've been doing it since I was 2. So, I might as well get paid to do it. To your point about Israel, I've actually been to Israel. My senior year of college, also went to a Big Ten school, Michigan State, and Hillel there, like, basically gave us an all expenses paid trip to go what they call fact finding in Israel. It was the coolest thing, but I know what you mean. I mean, there weren't rockets, but there were like threats of rockets as well as threats of like knife wielders or something along those lines. We had heard reports. Oh my gosh, like the way we buried into this tiny hotel bathroom stall out of fear, and it was just reports. I can't imagine that people live like that every single day. It boggles my mind. I don't even know how you got through that without being traumatized. So, kudos to you.
In the long run, it builds character, makes me a little an average, I guess.
Yeah, well, that you need it for this industry. But anyway, without further ado, are you ready to get into the 5 underreported stories that you need to know?
I am so ready and so excited to be a part of it.
All right, let's do it. Before we get into the 5 underreported stories that you need to know, I need to let you know that today's show is brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're shifting your support from the leftist progressive agenda to the Christian conservative causes of Patriot Mobile. If you're interested in joining the Red Economy, check out patriotmobile.com/Chrissy. That's patriotmobile.com/CHRISSY. Okay, this first story, it had me in a tizzy. So the Biden administration admitted, that was the key word in this story, is they admit that they're flying hundreds of thousands of migrants over the border instead of allowing them to walk across. So, yeah, basically what they're doing is the Biden administration has this new app called the CBP One app. You literally download it on your cell phone, okay? It's a phone app and allows anyone to apply for asylum in their home country, and then the federal government now, instead of just being like, hey, yeah, you know, your asylum claims are accepted, we're going to vet you via the app, they're like, you claim asylum, we're actually going to come to your home country, get you, and take you to America. The hell? Oh my gosh.
Service.
Yeah, for real. I wish they had those services for Americans. How interesting that
be. Crazy. And this isn't the first that I've heard of this situation. I worked for Rob Astorino in his gubernatorial campaign.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, governor of New York. And he actually broke a story back then about how the Westchester airport was secretly, it's a private airport in Westchester County. They were privately and secretly flying in illegal immigrants under the cover of dark at 2 a.m. He brought this forward and said this is absolutely a violation of our rights. Not only is it unfair to the people who legally immigrate here, like my father, I'm first generation on his side, and it discounts all the people who are waiting legally in their home countries, possibly facing true needs to seek asylum in the United States and not receiving any help when they would make our country greater, because we're being bombarded by these people. We have no idea any information about them. And it's not fair to me or you to be living amongst people that we don't know and we don't have a shared social fabric with. That's the whole point of America. You signed the contract to live here. You better abide by it.
Absolutely. And, you know, yes, I can to your first off point, I totally get it. My whole family moved here from Canada, which is not anywhere special, but we moved here, right before 9/11. So I'm first generation American too. You know, it's something we hold sacred. And now I hear that my federal government is telling me that, you know, we can't know the location of where the U.S. is picking people up from because that could create national security vulnerabilities. And this story is coming out about a week after we saw a very obvious national security vulnerability with the death of Laken Riley. And I'm not trying to, you know, utilize her story. There's so countless stories of young women, young kids in general being assaulted, hurt, murdered in this case by illegal aliens. And that is a national security vulnerability. Why is it that the government does this to us? It's so frustrating. And do you feel as a woman less safe in America right now?
100%. And it's a combination of the crime and the lack of policies putting criminals away. Especially, I live in Manhattan. There are so many repeat offenders. I'm just like walking around like, you could be a criminal, and create paranoia. Because if you know that you get in trouble for what they're doing, it also not only just create paranoia, but it also incentivizes legal following, law-abiding citizens to maybe cut corners a little bit. I'm the type of girl, anytime I take a bus or subway, even if no one's looking, I am always paying, because maybe one day I won't be in a position to, and I would still want these services to be running and given a helping hand. But if everybody's acting like that because they see other people getting all this money from the government, getting put up in bills, what's the incentive for anybody to follow the laws or to not commit crimes?
100%. Oh my gosh. When you're in Manhattan, like, I can't even imagine. I live in Nashville, okay? And I live in a very like posh area of the city. It's right next to a very sketchy area of the city, but rarely do the two overlap. And when it's dark outside, I've got my mace, I've got my taser, I'm working on getting a concealed carry license. Like, I have all the things. You do not have access to that in Manhattan. How do you feel safe in a city like that? I feel like so many people want to know, like, why are you still there? You're conservative. The heck are you doing there, girl?
Honestly, simple answer is my friends and family won't move with me to Florida just yet. And I moved to Florida alone for a little bit, and I love Florida, but at the end of the day, like, to me, life is about my community and being surrounded by the amazing people. But I do have pepper spray. There's a weird law in New York that you can carry pepper spray, mace, but you cannot order it to New York.
Yes. DC has that too. I used to order it to Virginia and then go pick it up.
I went to Maryland, so I would order like 10 packages and then drive them home to my mom and give them out to all of her friends.
And so funny.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just about being vigilant and, self-defense. I'm always aware of my surroundings. I don't play music in my headphones if I'm walking. I try to be aware of where I'm at. And just as a woman, I feel like it's on us. We have an extra level of responsibility for ourselves. I would never walk down a dark alley at night alone. I would never meet up with somebody or go meet someone for the first time alone at night or even somewhere sus. I think it's just being extra precautious of the situation, the environment that you're in, and just being conscious of it.
Yeah, 100%. I just think, yeah, that's great. We should do that, but we should be doing that surrounded by, again, like you said earlier, a community of Americans that have the same values as us. And of course, Americans are going to fall short and we're going to have awful things happen in this country. But truly, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I would much rather be murdered by someone that's legally in this country because I know that there's nothing I could have really done about it than be murdered by somebody because my government is effing me over.
I 100% agree. And I'm on the same mindset. As scary as it is to sound or like as offensive as people might get by the statement, it's just the truth. Like, we have enough crime in this country as it is. And all of these cases of illegal immigrants hurting people or killing people or whatever the crime may be, that is in addition to all of the rampant crime that we've seen, 33% year over year violent crimes.
Ooh, she came with the stats. I love it.
Prepared. And it's just all rising on its own. And no cash bail was in effect even before the incredible crisis that we are facing at our southern border. These are policies that are just trickling down now from domestic policies to international policies. And it is a very frightful time to be an American who sees what's happening and not really have the people in our government to back us for it. It's a very liberal government.
Yeah. And I want to move into our second story, which really does tag on with the first story, though, because obviously we see the very blatant effects of illegal immigration. But the White House is now kind of using covert ways to talk about illegal immigration as well. They want to refer to illegal immigrants as newcomers now. So there's a big brief that went out from the White House to Congress urging them to pass this bipartisan border security bill. And in it, they were calling illegal immigrants newcomers. And it started with illegal alien, which is what it was when I was immigrating to the country. I'm illegal alien. Never was I ever offended by that, by the way. To illegal immigrant, to migrant, and now we're just calling them newcomers. Like, come on in, newcomer. Welcome to America. That's what it feels like. I feel like with each change of the language, it's just opening the floodgates, while the call, though, is, oh, we're closing the border. Like, do you agree that the language portion of this is equally, maybe not more, but it is important to this whole immigration problem?
Oh, 1,000%. Calling them the new kids on the block. Like, no, honey, that's
welcome.
Grace. Well, look who pulled up to the street. Family of 10, new kids on the block. But at the end of the day, it's this weird obsession that the left has with language. You're not a mother. You're not a pregnant person. You're a birthing person. You're not a Trump supporter. You're a racist. No, just...
They love that one. That's their favorite. Or a Nazi. You're a Nazi too.
Like,
the Jew.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just obsessed with changing language to try and trick us up. And it's all just mind games. Like, is the term that we're using really the most important thing? We have young women. We have people being murdered by people who snuck into this country. And you're concerned with how we call them. This is not about feeling. This is about safety. And when you give up safety in order for safe spaces, you get neither.
Yeah, I really do see parallels between what we're doing with the language with immigration and the language that we've used with gender. You brought it up perfectly with the chest feeding, the breastfeeding. I see it specifically with, like, it was, it was pedophilia, and now it's so sad to talk about. Yeah, minor attracted. Map is like the thing that came out of Dora's backpack, right? The map. No, now it's like a person that's attracted that should be in jail. Yes.
It's very sad. And it's just truly their way to attack the norm. That's everything that you do is designed to attack the way that it was in this country. We had a process of legal immigration that worked for years. We had terms that worked for years. And suddenly now we just got to switch it up. And I think that shows how great we have it. If your biggest issue is what to call a migrant, like, okay, we could be at war right now. Like, there are a lot of bigger issues. Let's pipe it back down. Let's focus on the domestic issues that we're facing and stop being so sensitive on every single front. There are real problems in this world that language is not relevant.
Oh, so true. And like, we are on the brink of war, and yet we're fighting about whether to call, like, whether, I don't even know, whether to use ze, zems, or pronouns.
I don't think they care. They don't even speak English. They don't know what we're saying. None of these people speak a lick of English coming into this country. So does it really matter what we call them?
No, I don't think they care. It's the same thing. I mean, people are all up in arms about what's the Latinx or whatever, or Latinx, whatever.
It doesn't
it's
work
Latinx.
in my brain. The pronunciation does not work.
It doesn't work in the brain of, like, I speak Spanish enough to know that it's a very gendered language, and they're not a fan of this X shit, okay? They're in favor of A and O because they tell gender based, that's how they speak their language. It drives me insane.
At least the liberals haven't gotten onto Hebrew yet, because Hebrew is also a very gendered language, but they hate Israel too much to ever learn it. So I'm safe.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I have to clip that. That's perfect. Okay, moving on. I want to get to our third story. So, actually, pretty good segue. We're talking about the whole transgenderism crap. Biden, I guess, pays a person 6 figures to travel and push transgenderism on the world. Her name is Jessica Stern, and she gets to attend Pride events as the State Department's special envoy to advance the human rights of the whole alphabet soup people. And this woman is getting $180,000 to just globe-trot around promoting the idea that women are men and men are women, which is just not a thing. And I was sitting there, I'm like, you want to go ahead and promote equal rights? Take $200,000, take $300,000, have my taxpayer dollars. But you're promoting something that I, as an American, think is so controversial in the name of America. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, she could just be a travel influencer and do her own thing. But the fact that she's getting flown out to Peru and all these South Africa, all these countries, taxpayers dime, $180,000. There's so many Americans who are struggling between deciding to buy clothing or to buy food or to put their kids in school or get their braces or glasses. Like, there are real issues, and to just throw away this money is very sad. And it's like, I've asked this before, is there a single straight person in the entire Biden administration? Because it just seems like his whole administration is not only a war on Americans, but it's also a war on just the norm of gender relationships and the way that genders are. Why are we working so hard to change gender ideology and to push all this stuff? Can we not agree that that should be a parent, or should be a conversation between a parent and their child? Who is this woman? And is she traveling with that guy who steals suitcases? I want to know.
That's a great question. Is she so, annoying about these subjects because Sam Brinton stole her suitcase?
She's on her way. She's like, oh no, this is not my clothing. And she's lipstick and a mustache, wearing her new dress.
Oh my gosh, that is such a blast from the past. I loved that story when it was happening.
Never got over it.
No, and I never will. She is actually, I guess she's considered the highest ranked lesbian in the Biden administration, which is crazy because I thought that's what Pete Buttigieg was. Tell me I'm wrong.
Neck and neck. They're conjoined twins, separated at birth.
I could have sworn. No, I'm kidding. I mean,
more than she does, I think. So
that, and I think he's probably taking more maternity leave too.
Honestly, it's an embarrassment. All of these people, and this is what the nuance is, and I'm glad you and I can discuss this in good faith.
Of course.
If this individual is representing something that was truly American values, I'd be happy to have my money go towards that.
Right.
Freedom across the globe. That is what, America was about back in the age of imperialism, spreading our freedom with other people to achieve their own freedom, because a freer world is a better world. But if you're just pushing these ideas, that's crazy.
Okay. So we got our shit back together. Basically, we recorded our whole podcast, and halfway through we had a little technical malfunction. We got it back up and running, and then only the back part of it recorded. So you today, listeners, you're getting a Deb sandwich because you have her from the beginning in one outfit and the end in one outfit. And then we got her back the next morning to figure it all out. Oh my gosh. So thank you for coming back, friend. Let's get into
enough of you, honestly.
Oh, that was it.
Find another way to be back on sooner.
That's totally it. All right, let's get into the stories. We'll waste no time. So the fourth story we were talking about was this trans-identifying 16-year-old developing tumors because doctors were prescribing her cross-sex hormones. So this came out of what is technically dubbed the WPATH files. It's the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. These people build themselves very much as doctors, as medical professionals, and they're really just a bunch of activists. And WPATH put out these, like, they're kind of like Reddit threads, I guess you could call them, where doctors and therapists can talk about their clients and whatnot. And one of the Reddit threads, a doctor was asking whether or not other patients were developing tumors from being on testosterone and oral contraceptives. Have you read through these files? What was your take on them when you saw all of this?
Overall, it just makes me sad. You know, I'm only 23 years old. I'm not that far out from my teenage years, and I'm very thankful to the people I had protecting me. I had my own medical struggles that I had to fight for myself to make sure that I wasn't getting overprescribed or getting things that were going to hurt me long. And that's something that I think is just overlooked larger than the transgender issue. That's just a healthcare issue in our country. We are overprescribing pills. We are not really caring about the effects of it. And this is a treat the problem, not the patient, not the person type of situation. These doctors can just write transgender pills off, write any sterilization pills off, and that's it. Their patients out of their office, but they don't actually have concern for the long-term health of these people. And it's evident with tumors and all of these negative health effects that are arising that are not being addressed or spoken to. And these people, these young children, don't have people who are truly looking out for them. It's a very sad mark of our society.
I know. And also people, they bill us out for having this conversation as like somewhat transphobic or whatever critics want to say. But the truth is we're saying this about oral contraceptives as well. There are so many synthetic hormones that we put into our body that are problematic. We're not just shitting on people for taking synthetic hormones that believe they're transgender. We're kind of shitting on people who take synthetic hormones in general. It's terrible for you. I was on birth control for like 11 years and all the repercussions. Oh my gosh, I had cystic acne all over my face. I was sick for so long after getting off of it. It's garbage you're putting into your body.
You don't even notice the differences. I've had so many friends who said that when they got off of it, they realized that they were so different. They were less, like, they were more rational. They were less quick to anger. They weren't upset about certain things that they used to get so triggered about. And yeah, that would make sense. It's like anytime a girl's PMSing, she's slightly more sensitive, more emotionally, her, shorter chain, as they say, to snap. And you can imagine that somebody taking that all the time, all year round, putting synthetic hormones into their body is not going to help them long term. And it's really unfortunate that they just dismiss us as haters or, people who are controlling women's bodies when really we're trying to speak the truth and give people like their own choice over their healthcare and recognize that just because this is an option does not mean that this is healthy for you. We have a lot of unhealthy options in this country. Just because it's legal does not mean it's good.
Right. And speaking of unhealthy garbage, Doritos, which is unhealthy garbage to the max, they just hired a new spokesperson who is transgender, and he's also an EDM star, and he advocates for the abolition of the nuclear family in video footage. According to, I believe it was the Daily Caller that I read this from, this person also has a history of endorsing pedophilia. His name is Samantha Hudson. That's what he uses, but he was actually born Ivan Gonzalez Renito, and he's a Spanish EDM star, and he's the newest ambassador for Doritos in Spain.
Yo abogo por aniquilar y destruir por completamente, abolir la familia tradicional nuclear monógama. No es que vaya a darle una paliza a mis padres, ni mucho menos, pero creo que ya está bien de tener un canon estandarizado.
What did you think of this?
Well, I actually heard that he got fired 2 days after he got hired.
No way.
This came to life, which is crazy. And
no way.
Tweets myself. It's just crazy that they don't vet these people beforehand. They'll just put anybody to a multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar brand and not take a simple scroll through their Twitter. Like, God forbid somebody had accusations of being conservative and you had one pro-Trump tweet. You would never get the job. But this person has tweets about sexualizing and doing sexual acts on his little underage cousin. That is more pedophilia. That is incest. That is disgusting. That is not a minor attracted person, as we were talking about. That is not the map. That is somebody like Dora needs to put in jail because that's disgusting. And these brands who are always going to hire people, like, what just happened to leaving politics out of certain things? Why does a chip company need a brand ambassador to begin with? They're in every grocery store. Like, chill with the influencer stuff. Chill with all of this social media, everybody needs a face to the brand. Like, what if you were just a brand and that was it? And you don't have people who are extensions of your brand that have their own talking points and their own views. Like, keep it in-house, but they can learn from this, although it's a little too late for them.
I really think that when you do, like, these brands, you're right. You were onto something when you said they're so interested in this, like, influencer market. I'm like, when was, like, normal, one singular, not like 18 celebrities like we saw at the Super Bowl, just one singular celebrity spokesperson, like, what is it? CeraVe is doing a partnership with Michael Cera right now. And I'm like, that is a great partnership. They're funny commercials. You bulk them in one sitting and you got one great celebrity. Why is it that you have to attract influencers to your brand and have a trans person and a black person and LGBT, whatever? You have to have all these different types of minority people, or you'll see Dunkin' Donuts do like 18 celebrities in one advertisement. I'm like, can y'all just chill? We don't need to be marketed to that hard. The subliminal marketing in America is already so intense. Just pick one person, okay? We're not going to forget your commercial if it's good advertising. Now, Doritos, yes, like you said, looks like Bud Light. And for what reason? For bad marketing strategy. I can't believe people pay marketing agencies to do such a poor job nowadays.
Right? Like, we have better ideas and we're not hired, probably making six figures from these companies to come up with these ideas, and these are the best that they can put forward. But honestly, I can see through the liberal mindset, and I think that this comes from the whole point of influencer marketing is to be more relatable, to lower that point between like the company and the consumer and have a middle ground of somebody who's both a consumer and part of the company. And why, when they want us to relate, and the whole point of influencer marketing is to make it more relatable, they choose the most unrelatable people.
So true.
And no Bud Light drinker is looking at Dylan Mulvaney, a dude in a dress, and saying, wow, I'm going to go buy more Bud Light right now. And nobody's looking at a self-proclaimed minor attracted person and saying, yeah, let me go get those orange chips. Like,
wait, speaking of Dylan Mulvaney, did you see that he tried stand-up?
I had seen videos, but I didn't watch it because I'm
it's so bad.
Person.
It's so bad.
He just keeps shooting his shot. And honestly, there's something so narcissistic about it to me. Like, if you just wanted to, live your life out as a woman and like that was what truly would make you happy in life, go do your thing. Like, I am a true conservative. Like, if you are not affecting me and trying to change the laws and change language, I don't care if you wear a dress in your household. I don't care if you walk the streets and everybody stares at you. That's your decision. That's your cross to bear. But why does he have to just go through every single caveat in society, from commercials to shows to trying to go to the Grammys, all these things? Like, just go away. You clearly just want to be famous at the expense of women and women's rights. And I won't stand for that.
No, you're so right. And now it's time to play quite literally my favorite game in the world. Is it real or is it satire? I know. You've been looking forward to this all day because it's the most ridiculous thing ever. I don't think I've ever had anybody get both of them right. Because they're so insane. But we have two headlines. They might be satire, they might be real. So I'm going to read them to you, and you let me know what you think, whether it's real or satire, okay?
I'm so excited.
All right. Let's do this first one. Journalist celebrates queer sea after photographers capture gay whale rape. Do we think this is real, or is this satire?
The only reason I'm going to say real is because I did see somebody posting on TikTok that they had seen that there was evidence that whales can be gay and that it's natural. And I was like, oh, God, come on. So I'm going to unfortunately say that is the real one.
It is real. It 100% is real. This is published in The Guardian. It's titled, Gay, Lesbian, and Intersex Whales. Our queer sea has much to teach us. I was already frightened of the sea. I already didn't want to go down there. If you ask me, I always get that question. Would you rather go to space or go like deep in the ocean? I don't want to be like those billionaires that died at the bottom of the ocean.
I was about to say.
I'm cool up in space. That's where my head is anywhere, okay? I don't want to be there. So, yeah.
Apparently they can't find submarines for multiple days, but the gender identities of the whales. I wonder if like the whales told them that themselves in conversation. Be like, I am actually a trans activist, whatever whales make. Ooh, whatever.
The Dory noise.
Yeah. You're like, oh, humpback? Yeah, that's giving LGBTQ.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Definitely.
Oh, you said it. I love it. Oh my gosh. All right, let's do this last one and then we'll wrap it up. This one is a headline that reads, Trump slashes cost of insulin for Medicare enrollees to $35 a month. Joe Biden then tweets, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month, taking credit.
I'm going to also say, yes, this is true.
Yes, you're the best one.
I need to take the trophy home, but like, it's Joe Biden. Come on.
Like, it is.
I'd be surprised. The only reason I thought it was going to maybe be fake is because if Trump rushes to 35, I feel like Biden would be like, let's cap it at 45. I'm and ever chocolate chip, ice cream, got sniff your hair. Like, it's not the only reason I doubted it. I know that Trump did an amazing thing, not only for insulin, but overall lowering the cost of prescription meds in this country, especially for senior citizens. That is a very under talked about point and platform of the Republican Party. So very happy he did that. And Joe Biden is also up there in space, but somehow flying higher than all of us.
Literally, I swear he's in a different universe. Like, I can go to space and I still couldn't find Joe. That's just how I see it.
He's like in the Milky Way. He's making his way deeper over. He's trying to see any more gay whales in space.
Oh my gosh, I'm dead. All right. That's the title of the episode. Gay whales in space with Debra Lee. Thank you so much for coming on the Underreported Stories podcast. Appreciate having you.
It was such a lovely time to out with you. You're such a great host. And sorry for technical difficulties, but excited to be back on with you sometime soon.
Of course.
Thank you. We'll meet again. We'll meet sometime.
We will.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Underreported Stories podcast. Be sure to subscribe and download this podcast or share it with a friend. If you like what you heard, please leave a comment about how funny and intelligent I am. Thank you, friends. Bye.